Hi, my name is Ferdinand Visco. I am the author of the book, Growing Up Italian American. I would like to share with you a documentary I created for my family in 2010 about the Italian American experience. It was the inspiration for my book. The video is approximately 50 minutes long, so when you are ready, get some popcorn or pizza and a glass of wine, sit down and relax and enjoy. The number of people in the United States with at least one Italian American grandparent is estimated to be about 26 million. According to the Census Bureau, 1 out of 10 Americans has some Italian blood. Growing up Italian American is to grow up in a way of life which combines the best of both the Italian and American cultures. It has been said that our grandparents were Italians, we and our parents were Italian Americans, and that our descendants are Americans with an Italian heritage. This is how it should be in America. Love of pasta, or macaroni as we used to call it, is an essential part of being Italian. I remember that my grandfather had bins of loose pasta in his store, and customers used to buy it by calling out the spaghetti or macaroni number they wanted. "Hey, Mr. Visco, give me 2 pounds of number 8. The higher the number, the thicker the pasta.
I love pasta, it's my favorite thing to eat. Any way you serve it to me, I will think that it's a treat. Boil the water, cook it in a pot, and sauce it in a pan. Then dump it out onto my plate, and I'll eat all I can. Fettuccine, spaghettini, manicotti, ravioli, tortellini, cannelloni, rigatoni, bucatini, baked lasagna and baked ziti, pasta penne and linguine, farfalle, fusilli, macaroni and cheese.
I remember going on food shopping trips with my mother to Corona, New York, to buy authentic Italian products. In that enclave, there was a conglomeration of Italian street vendors, food stores, and restaurants, all located right next to each other. Today, a few of these stores can still be found in Corona and scattered throughout the metropolitan area, but not concentrated in one place except maybe on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. Going to Corona with my mother was not just a shopping trip, it was an event. In the stores and shops of that town, one could revel in the fact that you were Italian. Here, Italian food was not only bought and sold, but also celebrated. Since Italians have an almost religious preoccupation with food, it was here that food was tasted, quality compared, recipes exchanged, and recommendations made. Here, customers and shopkeepers entertained each other with loud, boisterous humor. This humor frequently took the form of stories told in Southern Italian dialects and often had at its basis bawdy double entendre.
Dolce facciata
una meraviglia,
poca donna così.
Ok,
Gira, regina, biondina, l'amore e la vita.
Oh Madonna.
Quando ti vedo
Madonna,
vicina, mio cuore sempre farci
Un caso che si chiama Angela, perché è un angelo, è vicino al cielo, sempre importante. Allora io vi dico, tutto quello che c'è qui era number one, papà, mamma, sorella,
Che altro più?
is impossible, my fidanzata.
Ci abbassa,
in
poi ci
un'altra
abbassa,
vita,
poi quella-
Ave Maria. Grazie fai girare, a casa tu mi porti, ed io ti canto.
Bravo, bravi, bravi, bravo.
Gira, regina, biondina, l'amore, la vita, godere ci fa. Quando ti vedo piccina.
The most appreciated humor among Italians is that which expresses an absurd exaggeration of the activities of daily living. In the following vignette, Mimo, a look-alike for Roberto Benigni, the star of the movie Life is Beautiful, and Angela's favorite employee, gives us a sample of this kind of humor.
Sempre l'ultimo.
L'ultimo.
Sempre l'ultimo.
Rimaneva sempre senza pantaloni.
Rocchi suo fratello.
Rocchi i suoi fratelli, era il fratello, l'ultimo. Quello sempre. È come qua dentro, la stessa cosa, io sono sempre l'ultimo. I primi sono sempre i primi, gli ultimi sono sempre gli ultimi.
Così dici tu, che sei sempre l'ultimo. Guarda che capito muro. Sempre l'ultimo, guardano poco.
Stai facendo il film, siamo pronti, dove andiamo?
La valigia è pronta.
La valigia è pronta.
O Brasile.
Ma tu a posto, devi prendere la valigia.
Sì. Grazie.
Ah, più bella, tutte belle, non è mai più bella te. Oi vita mia.
I remember monthly trips with my father to Cheech, the Italian barber, to get a haircut. The barber shop was a wonderful place. It was a men's-only place where coffee and anisette were always available. It was a place where friends came to hang out, even if they didn't need a haircut. Here the politics of the day were discussed and debated. In the barbershop, newspapers and magazines were strewn everywhere, and it was here in the girly magazines that shockingly I first saw pictures of nude women.
Vincenzo Maccaroni.
Right. Right.
E questo è un amico mio, no? E rompe palle sempre.
Ball break,
Ball break. PP.
You make a coffee every day, free coffee. You don't even charge for the coffee. That's why because I come here to $7 every morning.
And to break a ball.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
See? He's got to go to business his own cash.
Sì, e
You
non
don't
paga
have to pay
tax.
tax.
Dove fare i capelli, la barba, niente.
Ma vedi, ma stamattina non
Sì,
parlavo.
e poi viene qua, mi frega un caffè a me, ci
E ne faccio una gabba.
ci scassa la mozzarella
Sì.
e qua solo per pigliare un caffè freddo.
All the news is in the barbershop.
All the
Right.
news here.
At the barbershop, there are all the news. We talk about sport, about politics,
Yeah.
about the president, and yesterday they are talking, you know. Everything is come out in the barbershop.
È l'amico di Bush lui.
Yeah.
È l'amico suo. Allora signore,
Hello.
facciamo regolare?
Yeah.
Sì. Un po' di fianchi, lasciamo di sopra. Qui mettiamo un po'?
Yeah, more here.
Oh,
More here. More
Va
here.
bene. Va bene.
No.
Non aver paura, non aver paura.
Oh, and look, you know, much better now. I feel much better.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's good, right?
Nice.
Right?
Perfetto, eh?
Nice. Good job.
Right.
Good
Numero
job.
uno,
Yeah,
okay?
good job.
Like most Italian Americans, my cousins and I grew up listening to Neapolitan music. This type of music is infectious and passionate, and the songs are typically sung by a lone male voice in Neapolitan dialect. The lyrics are usually about lovers' complaints or laments at being far away from home. But Neapolitan songs are also written about towns, the sun, and the sea. The melodies and words are often dramatic and express typical Neapolitan emotions such as melancholy, joy, and resignation to the inevitable. O Solo Mio, Torna Sorrento, and Malafemina are typical examples of Neapolitan songs which convey such sentiments. Because our ancestors came from towns near Naples, my cousins and I came to regard this type of music as the music of our heritage. To this day, Neapolitan music still stirs our souls and invokes in us fond memories of our parents and grandparents.
Tu sia che bella
In the Middle Ages and during the Renaissance, the ability to speak Italian was considered a sign of refinement and culture. Because Italian is a musical language, it is a language that one performs rather than speaks. Italians distinctly pronounce each letter of every word and especially delight in rolling the letter R in words such as Roma, Rossa, and Ricotta. The Neapolitan dialect is the type of Italian that my cousins and I grew up with. And it is the language that most people in the United States associate with Italian Americans. The dialect is even far more expressive than classical Italian. It is meant to be either sung or shouted. Food even tastes better when given its Neapolitan name. In the dialect, the L from la, meaning the, is dropped, as are many ending vowels. So la pizza and la tasca becomes abitz and atashk, and provolone, mozzarella, and prosciutto becomes provolone, mozzarella, and prosciutto. And in dialect, because the ending vowel is dropped, Mama Nonna becomes Mama Non. Because of the feelings they convey, there are words and phrases in Italian that defy translation. Expressions such as ti voglio bene assai, which translated literally means I want you well a lot, but actually means I love you very much, and the word simpatico, which translated literally means sympathetic, but actually means a lovable person or animal in tune with your soul, and the word ciao, which can mean hello or goodbye, depending on when it is used, are examples of this phenomenon. Italians use hand gestures to punctuate speech and to give expressions a shading that spoken words all by themselves lack. In fact, using hand gestures alone, Italians can have an entire conversation without uttering a single word. Here are a few of the hand gestures I learned from my grandparents and relatives, and some of the more common ones I learned while living in Italy.
Delizioso, delicious. Mi dispiace, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Mwah, bellissima, wonderful. Chi me ne frega, what do I care? Ho paura, I'm afraid. Furbo, how clever. Fai attenzione, pay attention. Ma che cosa dice? What are you saying? Corna, chito malocchio, keep the bad luck away. Cornudo, your wife is cheating on you. Cornuda, your husband is cheating on you. Madonna mia, Mother of God. Stai zitta, keep quiet. Ma che cosa vuoi? What do you want from me? Perfetto, perfect. Ma sei pazzo? Are you crazy? Caro, cost a lot of money. Rabbia, I'm angry. Schiaffo in culo, I'm gonna smack your rear end. Basta, enough.
Though Italians consume wine with each meal, drunkenness is not an Italian trait. In fact, for Italians, alcohol in moderation is considered essential for good health. Thus, when they drink, Italians toast each other with a cent'anni, to 100 years, and a salute, to your health. And they say, una cena senza vino è come un giorno senza sole. Even as a child, I was interested in knowing what life was like for my parents as they grew up. They told me that one of the things they used to do as children was to play Italian card games. I remember my mother and her sister Aunt May teaching me to play the games they used to play, such as briscola, a game something like bridge, and scopa, which means broom or sweep, and is a game something like the card game war. Both games are played with a special Neapolitan deck of 40 cards. Growing up, my mother and father taught me to be proud to be Italian. They said it would be hard to conceive of the world without Italian contributions. The fact that civilization was so disproportionately influenced by the people of such a relatively small country is testament to Italian ingenuity and creativity. Even so, my parents said that people of Italian descent should not feel that they are better than any other ethnic group, but they should know, however, that the Italian culture is second to none. In fact, it has been said since the Middle Ages that a person's education is incomplete unless he has seen Venice, the art of Florence, and the ruins of Rome. Starting with the Roman Empire, which conquered the known world from England to the Middle East and lasted for over 1,000 years, people from the Italian peninsula created a powerful and advanced culture which has had long-lasting effects on the entire world. Roman engineers pioneered baths, roads, amphitheaters, and aqueducts, and many modern civic buildings, including the U.S. Capitol, have been built using Roman architectural inventions such as the arch and dome. Rome also gave the world its alphabet, and Latin, whose roots form the basis of many modern Western languages. Perhaps the most important Roman contributions to Western civilization are its legal codes and political systems, such as the Senate. I was also taught to be proud of more recent Italian contributions to society. Contributions of such people as Galileo, astronomer and physicist who invented the telescope, Leonardo da Vinci, painter, scientist, and engineer, Volta and Galvani, pioneers in electricity, Marconi, the father of radio, and Enrico Fermi, the father of atomic energy. My cousins and I were taught to be proud of those Italians who contributed to politics, such as Machiavelli, to religion and philosophy, such as Thomas Aquinas, and to the arts, such as Michelangelo, Raffaello, and others too numerous to mention. We knew that Italian is the most musical of all languages, and that because of this, many operas and most musical terms are written in Italian. We were familiar with the works of Verdi and other Italian composers, and we knew that the musical theme of The Lone Ranger was really the William Tell Overture composed by Rossini. We were also aware of Italian contributions to world literature, such as Dante's Divine Comedy. What Italian American could not be proud of the fact that in Italian, Christopher Columbus had discovered America, and in fact, America was named after an Italian explorer, Amerigo Vespucci. And we knew that Giovanni da Verrazzano sailed into New York Harbor some 85 years before Henry Hudson. We were taught that Thomas Jefferson knew how to speak Italian, and that the words in the Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal, was suggested to Thomas Jefferson by his Italian friend Filippo Mazzei, when in a letter to him, Mazzei declared that all men are by nature equally free and independent. We were also taught that two of the signers of the Declaration of Independence were of Italian heritage, William Paca and Caesar Rodney. Italians not only played a part in revolutionary times, but one Italian almost became the leader of the Union Army in America's Civil War. In 1861, a few days after the devastating defeat of the Union Army at Bull Run, President Lincoln knew that he needed a bold and proven general, one who had a capacity to motivate men, and therefore he sought the help of a military genius who had once lived in exile in New York on Staten Island, and who had become an honorary U.S. citizen, General Giuseppe Garibaldi. Garibaldi was ready to accept Lincoln's offer, but only if the abolition of slavery be declared as one of the war's objectives. He said without this declaration, the war would appear to be like any civil war, in which the world at large could have little interest or sympathy. But at that stage, Lincoln was unwilling to make such a statement. It was only 2 years later, in 1863, with the Emancipation Proclamation, that Lincoln finally declared that one of the war's objectives was the abolition of slavery. But at that point, Garibaldi was occupied in the struggle to wrest control of Rome from the papacy. Growing up in the 40s and 50s, we knew that many of the popular singers of the day, such as Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Connie Francis, were Italian. When we went to the movies, we saw the works of Frank Capra and watched Italian-American movie stars such as Henry Fonda, Anne Bancroft, and Al Pacino. Our heroes in sports were also Italian. Baseball players like Joe DiMaggio, Carl Furillo, and Phil Rizzuto. Football greats such as Andy Robustelli and Vince Lombardi. And the undefeated heavyweight champion, Rocky Marciano. We were proud that our political and religious leaders were Italian. We had an Italian-American mayor of New York, Vincent Impellitteri, and were aware of the contributions to the city by former Mayor LaGuardia, and we knew that even the Pope was an Italian, and he lived in Rome. We're also proud to learn that Italian-American workers supplied the labor and engineering skills to build our railroads and construct our cities. We also knew that our food was best, as evidenced by the fact that there are more Italian restaurants in New York than those of any other ethnic group. And it was obvious to us that America's sense of fashion and style was influenced by Italian design. In October 2008, I was invited to an awards dinner sponsored by the Lieutenant Detective Joseph Petrosino Committee of the New York City Police Department. Joe Petrosino was born in the Baratta family hometown of Padula in 1860 and was therefore a contemporary of grandfather Michael Baratta, Michael being 3 years old at the time of Petrosino's birth. Joe immigrated to America in 1874 and joined the New York City Police Department. He was placed in charge of the Italian Squad, an elite corps of Italian-American detectives specifically assembled to fight organized crime. He saw the mafia as a shame to decent Italians, and the Italian-American community saw him as a hero. In 1909, Joseph Petrosino was murdered in Palermo, Sicily, while on a trip to obtain evidence against an American mafia boss in exile. Petrosino's funeral was held in Manhattan. It was attended by over 250,000 people. New York City declared the day of his burial a holiday, and a small plaza at 240 Center Street in Manhattan was renamed in his honor. But life did not always go well for Italian Americans. Our grandparents and parents suffered from much anti-Italian discrimination and prejudice. For the Viscos and the Barattas, the antidotes to this prejudice were La Familia, the family, and education. The family was seen as a place of refuge and strength, and education was seen as a means of earning respect. Our grandparents felt that education would bring not only respect from others, but also self-respect by satisfying the love of learning which they tried to instill in their children. For Italian Americans, the family was not only important as a shield against anti-Italian prejudice, but also as a place where love was freely given and unabashedly expressed. In fact, Italian American relatives rarely missed an occasion to exchange hugs and kisses. Providing the children with a sense of security was also paramount for Italian Americans. The extended family, grandparents, uncles, aunts, and cousins was important in this regard, and our parents were taught by their parents to provide unconditional love for their children no matter what. In fact, my mother told me that Grandma Visco used to say, "Quando suona la musica, si deve ballare," which loosely translated means, when the children play the music, the parents must dance. For Italian Americans, rules of behavior were important. Loyalty to the family was demanded, and it was critical to show honor and respect for your elders, and to not be a disgraziato and bring disgrace on your family. Even eating was governed by rules. No meal served was worth anything unless it was made with the finest ingredients, and abbondante, abundantly served. And it was a big sin, God forbid, if you were to run out of something. Diners were always encouraged to eat more. Mangia, mangia, my grandmother used to say. Eat, eat more. It was also important to say goodbye to visiting family and friends in the proper manner. After the usual hugging and kissing, it was mandatory to stand in your doorway and wave goodbye to your departing guests until they were no longer visible. The holidays were also governed by rules. For example, one had to eat 7 different kinds of fish on Christmas Eve, and one would never think of violating the rule, Natali con i tuoi, Pasqua con chi vuoi, which means Christmas with your own, Easter with whomever you want. As you will recall, after grandfather Michael Baratta died, Mama Nonna and the Baratta family moved to 84th Street in Dyker Heights. Today, many wealthy Italian-American families live clustered in this section of Brooklyn, and the area has become famous for extravagant Christmas lights. People drive in from all over to see them, and there are even tour buses that run through the neighborhood at Christmas time. After immigrating to America, the Baratta family settled in the Williamsburg section of Brooklyn. Because of this, their parish church became Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Each year while they were living in Williamsburg, grandfather Michael Baratta and his family celebrated the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. In 2007, my cousins and I went to Williamsburg to celebrate that same feast. Many Italian Americans are devoted to the Virgin Mary and ask her, as they would ask their own mothers, to intercede for them. They believe that just as in any Italian family, Jesus, being a dutiful son, would never refuse his own mother.
La grazia del Signore nostro Gesù Cristo sia con il vostro spirito, fratelli. Amen. Parola di Dio. Rendiamo grazie a Dio.
Stay standing. I told you, Bishop, they like to applaud. Musica.
During this festival, 100 men carry a 3-ton, 65-foot structure called Il Giglio, which means the lily, through the streets of Williamsburg. The day lift of the Giglio began in 1907. and a night lift was added in 1957.
Again, I said this foul. 20 guards, again! Yeah, great. As we just heard, Vivo Pele had truly felt the love that Philly has for Joanne and Joanne has for Philly. We're mindful of so many who have walked in and out of this church, wedding themselves to one another in love.
On the day we went to the feast, my cousins and I ate at a Padula's restaurant in Williamsburg, where food is prepared in the same way that our mothers used to make.
Yeah, I know you did. It's a hot pepper. Your brother. Excellent. I come here at least once or twice a week.
Acquistato tutto bene sta gente, sempre stesso Dorina presente, quando vota sta festa sarà. Non ci sta più a dicere, so cosa sanno, visti lavora artistica e sai la presentità, sto massa costruttore, martello Dio sapete, scuggigli e paravise, oh vado l'angannà. Sotto ciglia sta ricca varanza, quasi tutto e questo quartiere, una smania e un pensiero, vanno ogni anno sto giro là. Chi sto cava cannaccio comanda, oh ma fatta la pena voluta, questa varanza d'acciare sudore, più successa mi stanno a stampare. Te vai da stuciglia, più bello va a ballare, sto capo è mai capitando, casta c'è comanda, con Paola Albanese, e di domenica, tre rose di sumese, la vita reala. Con Paola Albanese, e di domenica, tre rose di sumese, la vita reala. Voglio, ai zade spal, conjugons, hey!
While I was collecting material for this video series, I came across another side of the Barata family. A side which I only guessed existed from the fact that Grandpa Michael Barata's jewelry store was called Fratelli Barata, the Barata brothers. One day in 2006, while I was reading echocardiograms at St. John's Hospital, I came across an echo on a patient named Ralph Barata. I went to see the patient in his room and told him that he had a name similar to my Uncle Ralph's. It turned out that he was the son of Vincenzo Barata, Grandpa Michael Barata's younger brother. Through Ralph, I came in contact with his brother Mario Barata. Mario told me that Grandpa Michael and his brother Vincenzo had a falling out. Then Vincenzo and his wife Angelina opened a coffee and peanut importing company in Williamsburg. Vincenzo had 8 children, 3 of whom became pharmacists. As is the case with our family, many in Vincenzo's family continue to make adashk for Easter. Today, when I think about the Viscos and the Baratas, it seems to me that each time we learn a new Italian word or custom, or listen to an Italian song, or cook or eat the food our ancestors ate, or go to a festival they attended, or subscribe to their values, or pray in the manner they did, we and our descendants draw closer and closer to them, and they in fact live on in us. And therefore we not only share our parents' and grandparents' genetic code and benefit from the decisions they made in their lives, but we also remain forever connected to them. In fact, I believe that even today, our parents and grandparents continue to love, guide, and intercede for us, and that someday we will see them again. In October 2007, we celebrated our heritage at a Barata family reunion in Shelter Island, New York.
Hey, paisanis, let's have a party. Look, we've got the food, we've got the wine, all we need is some Italian songs. Hey, Billy, Joe, and Ron, are you guys ready? Yeah! I've got one here for Teresa.
During the reunion, I played a video for my family that I created from a taped interview I had with my parents at their home in 1987. In the video, I added footage from home movies and my parents' wedding in 1939. You will see my family's reactions to that video as I showed it to them.
We were the first ones to have the heat in the home, the hot water. And my father was proud that he was able to do these things. And she'd go to Coney Island, and she'd love to go to the war. But she didn't know how to swim. She used to hold on to the boat. And she used to love the war. She used to go twice a day. And buy food to take care of them.
That's right.
And he said, no, I mean partner for life. Oh, you want to marry me? Yeah. Well, anyhow, that's how he proposed to me. How would you like a job for life?
Together now for our mothers, all right?
Today, scattered throughout the United States, there are more than 100 descendants of grandfather Ferdinand Visco and more than 150 descendants of grandfather Michael Baratta. These descendants have occupations, interests, and hobbies which run the gamut of American life. You name it, and we have done it. And whatever we have done with passion and pride. We own property, businesses, and beautiful homes. Just as our grandparents wished, the Viscos and the Barattas have flourished in America, and we have become true Americans. Needless to say, we are proud of our families, proud of our Italian roots, and proud to be American.